Hey guys, welcome to Clown World, Canada. I hope you're all having a good day. I just decided to do a random stream today. I had some energy, so I figured I'd use some of it up while I had it. But, there's a bunch of different topics that I got lined up for today. But I'm sure you guys probably heard about Doug Ford removing that subsidy for planting trees or something. And the amount of people freaking out about it on Twitter makes me laugh. Like, just it's good that he's making cuts to things. Like, the province has been overspending for years. And now that they're making cuts, it's going to have the typical reaction that people have whenever they get something and now they no longer have it, something that they didn't really deserve to begin with. And now they're like, oh, what an evil, horrible man. Blah, blah, blah. He's not planting trees. What a monster. Blah, blah, blah. Don't worry. It'll be fine. He's not going to destroy the environment. It's going to be okay. Canada has a lot of trees. I don't think we need to plant any more trees. But did you get my message? No, I didn't get your message. Hey, Kel, what's up? Italian mobster was shot today in Toronto. He's in critical condition. Yeah, I think I heard about that earlier in the news. But no, I didn't get your message, though. So I'll look at that, though, a little bit. One sec. Okay, well, one sec. You got me distracted here. I'm gonna look at your message later, man. But yeah, there's a few stories. There's one like defense challenges Winnipeg cop's testimony, something about a cop pointing a gun. A family accused of staging anti-Semitic attack has been facing financial troubles. So yeah, like what I thought. Also, there's like new segregation rules in Stony Mountain. That's one of the prison facilities in Winnipeg. And now, since they're like integrating everybody together, and there was also a case a while ago where there was some guy in segregation for a really long time, and for like hundreds of days, right? Which was too long. But because of that, then they're like, now nobody has to do, uh, segregation, like, in the cells or whatnot. But they're also, diversifying the prisons, and that's causing a lot more crimes and deaths and stabbings and whatnot. And then there's also CBC with their article, "Why hasn't Facebook banned any far right groups in Quebec?" Right? So they're asking like, "Hey, Facebook," writing an article, "Why haven't you banned these far right groups yet?" So be ready to be banned pretty soon. And there's also a budget watchdog says carbon rebate will be higher than carbon tax for most people. So this is another CBC article, more fake news promoting that shit. There's going to be a Colton Boushie documentary makes history, or that it's already been made. Polio vaccine plan triggers killing, arsons, public hysteria in Pakistan. So, a bunch of stupid fucking shit in the world going on right now. And it's ridiculous. You have a bunch of people trying to help you in like third world countries, and then those people get killed. Like I think in Africa, they're trying to help with the Ebola crisis, and a lot of people are being killed and murdered because they think it's like a plan to kill them, but they're like, no, we're just here to help you. So, there's not much you can do for some people. You got to kind of like let these diseases just run their course or something. You got to have real balls to shoot people nowadays. There's cameras everywhere, right? CBC producing the Boushie docu. Yeah, they're doing some bullshit like that. And there's an article from BBC News, "End pensioner benefits to help the young," Piers says. So that's the future, guys. And also in Winnipeg, what's her name? Linda Sarsour was going to come speak at Winnipeg, but now our mayor is calling for her to be removed as a controversial speaker, right? Because she's a controversial speaker, etc. And I'm like, no, I think she should be allowed to come. And the only reason he's saying that she shouldn't come is because she's anti-Semitic. and mean to Jewish people, or she's against the BSM or whatever movement, the BDS thing, where it's the boycotting Israel, whatnot thing. And I have no issue with people if they want to boycott Israel. Be my guest. CBC producing. I'm so pissed off with CBC and Kadir showing up on the show. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like the stuff that they're promoting is so blatant. And, I got this little thing from the CBC when they're talking about the blue wave, and they're like deluding themselves. They're just not believing. They're like, this is just a trend for Canadians to vote out the Liberal government. It has nothing to do with Trudeau and his policies or anything like that. Sorry, I got another message there, but it has nothing to do with Trudeau and any of his policies or anything like that. It's just a trend that Canadians do every year or every 4 years, which isn't the case, right? Harper was in office for what, 8-9 years? So what the fuck are you talking about? No, Islam is not peace. Not peace. I just say that as a joke, Fredrick. I don't actually mean it, man. What the hell? I'm so pissed off with CBC. Oh, sorry. On Easter Sunday too, right? Yeah, that's so true. Like they do it right in our faces, right? They do it right in our faces, like on Easter Sunday, all this crap, like this fake hate crime. They did it like on their Passover, but whatever. But like I said, they were facing a bunch of financial troubles. But I'll share the screen here, show a couple articles. But this is the one. Family accused of staging an anti-Semitic attack has been facing financial troubles. Legal woes include a 6-figure lawsuit. So, a Winnipeg family accused of staging an anti-Semitic attack at their cafe has been facing financial troubles, including a 6-figure lawsuit. So that's pretty fucked up, because what they were hoping to do, right? Like, look at this guy. Records show the parents were ordered last August to pay $112,000 to the Business Development Bank of Canada for loan that had not been repaid. More recently, their adult son was sued by the Royal Bank for $43,000 in alleged credit card debt. So, these people are in a lot of debt. So they're hoping to get a bunch of sympathy from people to, I don't know, start a crowdfunding campaign, I guess, that they probably would have used to pay off their debt. And, you look at the establishment, like there's this Jewish group actually in Winnipeg that went down there to go look, like this Jewish news thing. And they were kind of suspicious of it too. They're like, it doesn't look like there's any damage to the place whatsoever, right? And so, yeah, they weren't going to use the money to fix the repairs. They were just trying to scam everybody, like sons of bitches. And, I see this one article come out from, where was this here? From Global News. False reports of hate crimes, few and far between, says expert. So, guys, remember that all the things that we talk about, the hate crimes, they're not hoaxes. The majority of them are true. They always got to release this. Every time there's a hoax that comes out, like after Jussie Smollett, after that, they're like, oh, but even though this is fake, remember that the majority of them aren't fake. And you're like, yeah, you're right. The majority of them aren't fake. But if you look at them, actually, they probably are fake, because a lot of them are just taking their word for it. I was reading some testimonies of like this Islamic group, and they were showing examples, and they actually mentioned Kevin J. Johnson in one. I was reading it through, and it was like some person who was clearly like a Muslim pretending to be, he said, Kevin J. Johnson made me into an Islamophobe, blah, 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 and I hate Muslims because of him, and he's the one who made me into an Islamophobe. So, like, clearly somebody trying to get him smeared, and then they jot that down as anti-Muslim or anti-Semitism, and it's just stupid shit. I was the same Jewish group. I was looking at their website, and there was this school that they went in Winnipeg because they had this flag that said something about Palestine. And they were like, oh, this is anti-Semitic and you need to take it down. And we went and we talked to the school and we got it taken down. And then there was like I don't know, some other thing with like a pig with horns on it in front of a synagogue. And I'm like, you know what, people, they watch way too many movies or something. And, you know, these ones are clearly fucking fake. You know, if there's going to be some anti-Semitic shit, people are not going to be as cliche as that. Like, what the fuck? You know, the arrest of 3 locals at cafe owners for allegedly, well, yeah, okay, I guess it's still allegedly because they're denying it, right? They've come out and they said the police are lying, essentially, and they're like, no, we didn't do anything wrong. We're gonna fight this in court. For allegedly staging a hate crime at their own establishment has a lot of Winnipeggers talking. But how common are false reports of hate crimes? According to a U.S. hate crimes expert, not very. So a U.S. hate crimes expert. Okay, so he's right. I believe him. He's from the U.S. The Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism, Brian Levin, so a Jewish dude, told 680 CJOB that the almost 7,800 reports of hate crimes in his country last year, only 7 were proven to be false reports. Proven to be false. So how much resources went into proving or disproving a lot of these allegations? Probably not a lot. Levin said even false reports, however, can be devastating impact on the communities targeted. So, like, now they're still the victims? No. Like, essentially, these hate crimes make, like, it's like a fake hate crime. Trying to blame white people for it is a hate crime against white people, you know, at that point, because it incentivizes hatred against white people. Because they're like, oh, see, look at all these whites and these white supremacists doing all this shit to the minorities. So we got to take action to defend ourselves. You know, hate crimes cut in a really jagged way through communities, he said. Generally, you know, hate crime should not be a category. You know, what is this bullshit? You know, we're criminalizing people for their intention, for thought crimes as they're killing people. Well, you thought the wrong thing when you killed this person, so you're gonna get another 10 fucking years or whatever, right? And it's stupid, right? A lot of these white supremacists that get these charges, right? You know, they get added extra time for their sentences for that shit, and you're like, this is stupid. Generally, the same kind of damage to civil cohesion, at least in the intermediate to short term, occurs when communities feel that they're under attack. The fact that it later turns out to be fraudulent doesn't relieve that offender for having the moral responsibility of making people feel terrorized. If you do, so, poor us. If you do it intentionally, but yeah, you know, I guess it does make people feel terrorized too, right? It does, right? He's not wrong about that, because you want to terrorize Jewish people. Well, that wasn't their intention. Their intention was to get money from gullible white people, right? They're like, Christians, be like, that's what happened after all this thing. There was like articles about Christian groups and all these ones going there and showing their support. Or you're doing it for some other motive, but the effect is the same. I think there should be significant punishment. There should be. Levin said his organization has seen a rise of hate crimes worldwide, including Canada, and that while there's a very small number of hoaxes reports, those reports do tend to increase at times when hate crimes increase in general. Canada has really led much of the world in responding to hate crimes, but Canada was up in terms of hate crimes, 47% from 2016. So, you know, so it's like from 7. Now it's 15 or something, right? Or whatever. Oh no, it's 60 to 80 or something. I don't know. Germany's up, Greece is up, Hungary, UK, Poland, all up. Levin said, but you know, a lot of these countries, you're importing tons of Muslims as well. And once again, the majority of the hate crimes are just bullshit. You know, that's what it is. It's just complete bullshit. Levin said the global rise in hate crimes is due in part to an increase in political fragmentation as well as dramatic demographic changes and a rise of white nationalism in many parts of the world, along with the internet making spreading hate much easier. So no mention of Muslims. It's white nationalism's fault, and you know, because we're being replaced, it's making us angry and making us into white nationalists. Well, he's half right about that. Yeah, people are gonna move more towards fighting for white people because we're being attacked, we're being replaced, and we're being demonized. And it's like no mention of Islam. He said he'd like to see more severe punishment for people who commit these crimes as well as who makes false allegations. So blah blah blah. You know, you know, it's these people, the chosen people there. If you say, sir, how long are you streaming for? I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't really decided yet. Yes, it is a clown country. Hey, Jesus. Hey, Boingo Bear. How's it going, buddy? And hey, Gaius Caesar or Kaiser. That's how they actually pronounced it. It was pronounced Kaiser. The Greeks, the original Greeks. No, I've been looking for work for 8 months. The world is a circus run by clowns. Yeah, no, I had some article up of those. What was it? I'll have to find it later. David Walsh, Chicago Bears, original Bear. Yeah, I like bears. Who doesn't like bears? What's the topic? Clown country. The world's become a circus, and we're being ruled by clowns. Yeah, Kaiser Sosi. Oh, hold on one sec here. Let me share the screen. But there's also so yeah, but Colton Boushie documentary makes history as hot docs opener. So, you know, like this race baiting bullshit. And like this was a bullshit case, right? And they're making documentaries about it. Like this is our Trayvon Martin, right? He is our Trayvon Martin. And they're like, oh, we're going to use this, or we're going to squeeze every last bit as we can out of this. So Hot Docs kicks off its latest edition in Toronto, of course, Toronto, on Thursday by shining a light on the inequity and systemic, right? So whenever they say systemic racism, right, they're not just, they mean like, you know, within the system, right? Within the governmental system, within the police system, within the educational system, within all of our system. That's why they always add systemic, right? Inequity and systemic racism in the Canadian legal system, right? And efforts of Colton Boushie's family to push for change. It's not systemic. You know how, you know, I'm so sick of this shit, right? Like these people, they get a slap on the wrist for everything. A slap on the fucking wrist. If you're Aboriginal, you'll get a reduced sentence for murdering people because of the past of colonialism and all this other crap, right? Like this is ridiculous. I can't stand this stuff. But you know, the makings this world premiere, what I can't say the word. We will stand up paints a stark portrait of the landscape. You know, why are you gonna name your new movie? Okay, see, this is the name of the movie. Like, okay, I gotta share it. I gotta share this, right? Terrace Hubbard's Nipa Wistama Sowin. We Will Stand Up is opening North America's largest documentary film. First time an Indigenous director has landed a high-profile slot. So, you know, see, this is what creates racism, right? When you do diversity hiring and the first Native American person that makes a movie is about this divisive shit, like what are people gonna do? They're just gonna be like fucking goddamn Aboriginals and this and that, right? Like what are they gonna do? What are they gonna like? You know, making it world premiere, Nipawi sta Masoen. See, they just want us white people to say it. Or, you know, white people, I'm gonna want you. You're gonna say it. No, we will stand up. Paints a stark portrait of landscape surrounding the 2016 death of Boushie, a young Saskatchewan man from Red Pheasant First Nation. So, you know, yeah, he came in there to steal shit, and then it went horribly wrong for him. So, you know, and that's the funny thing, right? It's like the media, the left, they take these fucking cases that are like blatantly not a big deal type thing, like, and make it into something that it isn't. And it just has the perfect setting because it was a white man, native guy. He's rural. He owns a gun. You know, it's perfect. It's perfect. Oh, you can use this. You can demonize white people in general with this. Gerald Stanley, the white farmer. Like, what? The only time the media will mention race, right, is like the white farmer. You know, imagine if it was a black farmer who shot him. This wouldn't be a case if it was a black farmer who shot him. The case sparked a massive outcry and captured international attention. Because fake news like you promoted it. In the doc, which Hubbard also narrates, the filmmaker weaves her own personal history. You know, fucking women, goddamn, like just history into a larger examination of colonialism and racism in the prairie provinces along. Look how Boushie's family continues to pursue landmark changes in our justice system. Landmark? We Will Stand Up is slated for theatrical release later this year. Members of Boushie family, their legal advisors, and other supporters will join Hubbard in Toronto Thursday night to help unveil the film. We hope that fuck you, We Will Stand Up shines a light on the significant barriers the Canadian legal system presents to Indigenous families and families seeking justice for the loved ones. What Indigenous peoples experience within this system is unacceptable, the family said Thursday morning in a statement. Oh, what? That you get to go to sweat lodges and we don't? What are you talking about? We will continue to press provincial, federal, and international leaders to make real and lasting change, the family added, while also sharing thanks to First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people across Canada, Indigenous people worldwide, and non-Indigenous allies for their support. Over the next 10 years, Hot Docs will showcase more than 260 films. Blah, blah, blah. Films are directed by women. Of course. Like, this better not be subsidized by the fucking government. Pray about the Canadian sexual abuse survivors' legal battle against the Catholic Church. Oh, of course, the Catholic Church. Shit on them some more. Oh, shit some more on the Catholics, and because they're terrible. The devastating your last walk in the mosque. Oh, nothing wrong with people in mosques, right? Oh, nothing wrong with Islam. They didn't do anything wrong. They've never done anything bad. Oh, they're we got to portray them as like your last walk in the mosque. Do you mean like after you became an atheist and you got beheaded, which gives a voice to survivors of the Quebec City, oh no, mosque shooting. Never mind. See, they should do a story about people leaving Islam and what happens to those people. Cosmetic industry expose, toxic beauty, and the climate change doc. The hottest. So all propaganda. The hottest August are just a few examples of wide-ranging topical films. You know, the hottest August ever in like 20 years. This year's Hot Docs also includes films exploring fascinating personalities such as singer-songwriter Gordon Lightfoot. You know, I don't know. That guy's funny. Sex therapist Dr. Ruth. So it's all just degeneracy. Pioneering NHLer Willie O'Ree, activist, journalist, and author Stieg Larsson, where these fucking people are. The Canadian man demonized as patient zero in the early years of the AIDS epidemic. What the hell? Yeah, it's all degeneracy. That's what they're promoting. See that? Like that's what CBC is promoting these days. Like all degenerate fucking nonsense. Oh, and see your donation there. 5 batoonies from me for a coffee and muffin from Pinoy Tim Hortons soldiers. Oh, thank you, man. From Pinoy Tim Hortons. Let's see here. How long? Okay, let me go further down here. Go look. Check the chat. Welcome to the clown world. Hey, smart crypto bot. Hey, Jesus. I think I already said hello to you. Battle for Canada. What's up, buddy? Sweat lodges sound gross. Nah, they're good. Ebola is coming to save the world. Yeah, you're probably right. That, you know, I think diseases were probably like nature's way of thinning out things, right? There's I wouldn't say there's a reason for everything, because I don't want to say there's like design and natural design. I don't believe in God or anything like that, but there tends to be a lot of things that counteract each other, right? And that create some sort of balance all the time, right? The bunnies, they eat too much of the food, they go and they starve to death, and there's a massive famine and all the rabbits die, right? But yeah, speaking of the Ebola thing, it's like okay, yeah, here, watch this, right? Like, speaking of the Ebola, there is frontline Ebola workers threatened to strike in the Congo. So doctors demanding better security after latest clinic attack leaves physician dead. So these people are being killed because they think there's a conspiracy against them. If people think the West is conspiratorial, no. It's the North Africa, the Middle East. Same with, what was it, Pakistan? There was another one. I think it was Pakistan. Where was this? Polio. Yeah. So polio vaccination plan triggers killings, arson, public hysteria in Pakistan. So these people are being vaccinated with polio, and people, they think we're conspiracy theorists, and like these people that are just not bringing their kids to get injected are bad, right? They're like, oh, these people need to be put in jail. We need to do this. But then you go to Pakistan and those people are going and murdering people, like the physicians and shit. It's like, same with in fucking what do you call it, this place? So health workers in one of the epicenters of eastern Congo Ebola outbreak threatened on Wednesday to go on strike as early as next week if authorities don't do more to protect them. Repeated attacks on treatment centers by armed militiamen and community members who think Ebola is conspiracy against them have hampered the response to the second deadliest outbreak of the fever in history. In the latest attack on a hospital in the city of Butembo, a senior World Health Organization epidemiologist from Cameroon was killed and 2 others wounded last Friday. At a protest on Wednesday in Butembo, the biggest city to be affected by the current outbreak, dozens of Congolese doctors and nurses marched behind a banner leading "Ebola exists." And urge authorities to take additional security measures. If our security is not guaranteed, we will go on strike from the first week of May, right? Yeah, that's the least they could do. Like, Jesus Christ. Said, reading from the memo to Butembo Mayor Sylvain Kanyamanda. But whatever, told Reuters that he understood the health workers' frustration and that the government was determined to respond to their demands. The latest outbreak of Ebola, which was declared last August, is in Congo's 10th since this virus was discovered in 1976, is believed to have killed 880 people and affected nearly 500 more. And that's it. Ebola's only killed 880 people since fucking 1976. And that's it. That's not a lot. That's not a lot. So another example of how the media just tries to fucking scare you and creates a lot of these outbreaks of shit to be like, it's rampant. It's not a huge number. And the military's prosecuting. It's still bad, you still gotta, do something about it. But the military's prosecutor's office in North Kivu said on Wednesday that authorities had captured the suspected ringleader of last week's attack, as well as about a dozen other suspects. Prosecutors believe the assailant belonged to an armed group called the Patriotic Union Liberation of Congo, based on the pamphlet left in a hospital threatening health workers. Active in Europe, blah blah blah. So yeah, don't kill the people trying to help these people who have Ebola. but nonetheless, like. We got to get the fuck out of Africa, the Middle East, all these countries, and you could still somewhat help people, but we just got to get the fuck out. We got to leave people to their own fucking devices, I think, because You know, it's just a big waste of fucking money. Search for missing Calgary mother and child now suspected double homicide investigation. Oh wow. Supported Clinton's or Clinton Mike, correct. Mother and daughter found dead. Every child abduction involves Muhammad. Yeah, well, who knows? Who knows? I don't want to make any suspects yet. Even the rebel spouts crap. David Menzies was saying we all should be vaccinated. Right. You know, like, yeah, you know, the rebel. I don't know. I don't have an opinion too much on vaccinations and stuff like that. I'm not going to say they're this or they're that because honestly, I just don't fucking know. Jesus Gonzalez, some of the Africans don't believe in Ebola. I think it's a Western trick. Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. Let me see here. The work, doesn't a new gay coin look like Bill Blair, sort of? Yeah, probably. Kind of does. Thanks for the kind welcome. Hey, LG, how's it going? Let's see here. Husband's name is Muhammad. Oh, really? Is it? Why are vegans so fucking crazy? That just came from Kelly Day. She just messaged me. Why are vegans so fucking crazy? Hello, holy. Yeah, I could ask the same thing, right? Why are vegans so crazy? Makes no sense. Uh, but oh yeah, by the way, I got in contact with Canadapoli, and I'm gonna get him on the show probably next Wednesday. So I'll get him on next Wednesday, around 7:30 ish, 8 o'clock, right? So go there, uh, be check out the show next Thursday or next Wednesday around 7:30 or maybe 8:30, depending on the time frame or what when he's available. And go there, check it out. Also, check me out on BitChute, guys. Go there, subscribe. Subscribe to me there. I have an account, AJ Elicits, and join. You know, like all those other links that I have in the description, like Gab, Minds, all this shit. Because I don't have a Twitter, and it is a good place to share stuff. And also, I have a feeling that I just have an aching feeling that, you know, a lot of people are going to be banned soon, you know, especially judging from articles like this from the CBC that are saying, you know, why hasn't Facebook banned any far right groups in Quebec? You know, so just clear calling for these people to be banned. None of the leading experts on radicalization in the province say the company has sought their input. You know, when several Canadian groups and individuals were banned recently from Facebook for spreading hate, it was widely remarked that none of them were from Quebec, despite a sizable far-right scene in the province. Uh, a spokesperson for the social media giant told CBC News that its review of organized hate on its platform is ongoing. One sec. It's ongoing, raising the possibility that far-right groups in Quebec could still be banned. But further, to include Quebec-based groups or individuals on the list of permanently banned accounts announced earlier this month puzzled those who monitor the study extremism in the province. There are, after all, several far-right groups that operate in Quebec. Some experts wonder if Facebook lacks the necessary language skills to get them. You know, obviously, there's a picture of Faith Goldie. You know, oh, far right in Canada. Oh, white man, white people, Nazi haircuts, bad. Look at that. This is like the perfect picture. An email exchange with CBC News, a Facebook spokesperson said the company regularly consults with academic and experts in order to stay informed about hate groups. The spokesperson declined to specify who was consulted. So, you know, like the CBC was like trying to get information and you know, trying to contact them about this. Oh, so why do you still have these hate groups on your site? Which is a subtle way, which the media, which Facebook knows is a subtle way of them saying, hey, remove these groups from your site. Like, our work against organized hate is ongoing. It will continue to review individuals. You know, how's Faith Goldie ever promoted anything hateful, right? Like, what has she said? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Here, I'm just texting Kelly there. Maybe I'll see if she can come on the stream. That'd be good. She has time. if you have time, can hop on. But CBC News contacted the two leading anti-radicalization centers in Quebec, the city for the prevention of radicalization leading to violence in Montreal, and the Center of Expertise and Formation sur les intégrismes religieux et la radicalisation, which is based on whatever Edouard blah blah blah. CBC also reached 4 of the leading researchers on far-right issues at Quebec. They too said the social media company has not been in touch. So, damn, they fucking CBC. They do a lot of working, a lot of investigative work when it comes to the far right. They're contacting all these people, doing all this shit. But when it comes to like these blatantly fake hate crimes, like this, like that were so blatant, anybody with a brain could see, we don't need to investigate this. We'll just report on it. Right? But this other shit, why is there far right people? Why are they still online? Why do they still have jobs? Why do they still have bank accounts? Right? That's next, right? That is already happening, and it's gonna go. That's what's gonna happen. They're gonna be like, well, just start your own bank, right? Oh, well, you can't. We won't allow you to. Within the North American context, and even globally, the Quebec groups don't have as many followers. They're less networked, because they're like, oh, well, maybe they don't have as much influence, so they just kind of let them alone. I think you have to draw the distinction between far-right commentator Faith Goldie and a guy who makes videos in his basement and has 100 followers, he said. So that's me. Or no, that's Fredrick. That's Fredrick. Goldie, who has been described as a white nationalist. Like, look at the way they frame shit. Like, these are the media, they frame stuff in a really like slippery way so they can't be sued, right? Goldie, who has been described as a white nationalist. Just say she's a white. Just come out and fucking say it. Was among the 6 Canadian groups and individuals that Facebook banned on April 8th. Also banned were the far right groups. And far right, just a new word for Nazi. That's just, they try to make it. They're trying to like make them almost equivalent. Group Soldiers of Odin, also known as the Canadian Infidels, the Canadian Nationalist Front, Wolves of Odin, and the Aryan Strike Force. So most of these groups, maybe some individuals said some unsavory things, but they're not promoting violence. Facebook said the groups violated its policies on dangerous individuals and organizations. We do not allow any organizations or individuals that proclaim a violent mission, except for ISIS, they're okay, or are engaged in violence from having a presence on Facebook. The policy reads, and that includes organized hate. What? See, they got to invent terms like organized hate. What the fuck is that? Like, we live in 1984. Oh, we got hate week. We got to go and hate hour, guys. We also remove content that expresses support or praise for groups, leaders, or individuals involved in these activities. So remove support or praise for groups. So don't even say nice things about any of these groups, guys, on Facebook, or you could be banned. According to Jeffrey or whatever, there are a number of groups in Quebec which meet those criteria. He appointed to Atlanta, Quebec, which he called openly neo-Nazi, and a Fédération des Québécois des Souches, white nationalist group. Both have active Facebook pages. On Atlantid's page, there are displays of support for the Italian fascist group Casa Pound, or Atalants. Under a post endorsing national preference, the policy of prioritizing natural-born citizens and the allocation of resources, multiple commenters wrote, "Les nôtres avant les autres," us before them. Yeah, what is that's bad. That's far right. Taking care of your own people before other people that have never contributed to your country and to your economy into your history, into your culture, and to the prosperity of what your country is and what it is now, it's racist now to say that. Well, it's only racist if you're white in a white country, because anybody else can say that. Jewish people can say, hey, well, Jews must come first in Israel and blah, blah, blah. Clearly, Zionism, I'm a Zionist, blah, blah, blah. Zionism is great. But you're white and you want to prioritize natural born citizens who have been here and contributed? Holy fuck, you're a Nazi, right? Like, moreover, the group's leader is facing several criminal charges, including criminal harassment, intimidation in connection with a confrontation last year at the Montreal offices of Vice Media. These Quebec groups are similar to the ones that were banned in the rest of Canada. If we're following Facebook's policies, they should be banned as well. Ban them. Ban Facebook's response to criticism, but other far-right groups in Quebec less obviously transgress Facebook's hate speech policies. So it's like they less obviously do it. So they're doing it, but they're doing it less obviously, right? So fuck you, CBC. Like, see, like the language they use, it's everywhere. It's in everything. Every sentence they fucking use, or paragraph, or every other one has like just language like that, right? More in the UNESCO-sponsored radicalization expert said Facebook crackdown appeared to begin with the most extreme groups. Many of the far-right groups in Quebec. See, it starts with them guys, and then that's why you need to defend all people, even people who say mean and hurtful things. Well, because racist speech isn't free speech. Anti-Semitism isn't free speech. Yes, it is, and yes, it is. I don't know how many times I fucking hear this shit, but you got to defend all that shit because we're next, or you're next, because what I say is already considered racist and anti-Semitic. Many of the far-right groups in Quebec strive to present a politically acceptable facade and play on the limits of acceptable discourse in order to avoid being censored. So he said in an email. So don't be fooled by them being nice and saying logical things without being racist. They're actually really hateful down in their hearts, and they want to do bad things, so they need to be censored too, you know? That's the case for La Meute, arguably the largest far-right organization in the province, whose leaders closely monitor the comments on his Facebook page. So, that's a bad thing. When Facebook announced its decision to ban English-speaking Canadian groups, La Meute's administrators told members it was deleting comments not to infringe on your freedom of expression, but to protect La Meute group. Groups like La Meute, Jeffrey said, put Facebook in a difficult position of being forced to strike a balance between what is acceptable to say online and what isn't. So, a difficult position. You know, look at how far we've gone, like these people. They're not saying anything bad. They're not promoting violence, but they still need to be taken offline. Facebook finds itself taking decisions that I think are the responsibility of government. He said limiting hate speech shouldn't be the responsibility of Facebook. So he wants the government to come in and regulate it more. And Zuckerberg himself has called for more regulation. So when people on the right call for regulating the internet, be fucking careful what you ask for. The decision to ban Canadian hate groups is part of an international effort by Facebook to respond to long-standing concerns the site is used as a platform for spreading hate and organized violence against minorities. Oh God. Facebook tightened its policies after a racist gunman killed 50 Muslims in attacks on two mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand in March. The gunman was able to live stream, blah, blah. The Canadian government applauds Facebook announcement earlier this month because they're fascist. We are pleased that Facebook has made the decision, blah, blah, blah. We love that you're doing what we tell you to do. Facebook is a private company and can impose its own conditions for users, Public Security Minister Geneviève Guibault said in his statements. We had no influence over their decision whatsoever. Just remember that, guys. No influence whatsoever. Check out the chat here. Canada is my second favorite country. I'm gonna go to Quebec this summer. Sorry, I like Iceland. Oh yeah, Canada's your second favorite. Well, you can go to hell. Canada's the best. Tell Kelly to get here, AJ. Yeah, no, I did. Oh la la, excellent. Gay marriage is a love crime. I'm from the USA, but I love Canada and want to visit the great country. You should visit Canada, man. It's before Trudeau wrecks it and destroys Canada, you should come and experience it before it's completely destroyed and browned up. No offense to any brown people that are here. Honestly, but yeah, before it's completely changed, right? Let me see here. Hey, Fredrick, thank you for the donation, man. I really appreciate that, man. Just got another Amber Alert for another Indian Muslim taking a small child in Toronto. This is the third time. The last two happened 2 months ago. Diversity is our strength, right? And hopefully this girl doesn't end up dead like the last girl, right? Thank you for the donation, man, though. But like that's fucked up. That's fucked up. And yeah, this is diversity. It is increasing more. And more people are getting let off the hook because of diversity, and they're getting let off the hook because of racism. And it's like, well, the like the whole thing with the Boushie case that I was showing before. They're like, the systemic racism in the judicial system, blah blah blah. We need to fix it and get rid of it and change it with something different. But this just means giving people of color, minorities, a free pass to do whatever they want. And you see what's happening in America with those roaming packs of like black and Hispanic kids roaming through like cities and malls and like attacking people. There was one group, there's like 500 kids or something, and like 30 of them were arrested, right? I think, which they should have probably arrested a lot more of them. But they're able to do this because of the lax policies. I think it was that city itself. They made it so misdemeanors or like theft, like stealing from a store under like a certain amount, and this was no longer a crime. Like it was just like a small offense or whatever. So the people just went nuts and started, stealing shit everywhere. Like, man, this is insane. Like, this is diversity. Poutine. I'm friends with Libertarian Party members, both federal and provincial. They're constantly shitting on Maxim lately. Oh, really? Why are they shitting on Maxim, the one? Could you elaborate on that one? Any recommendations to going to Quebec? I heard it's a beautiful city. I've never been there myself, but I heard it's a really beautiful city. AJ is just kidding. Who am I kidding about? Maxime Bernier is also my choice. PPC for Canada Conservatives. I don't trust saying we are the world. No, I'm a little fart that likes my beer in my country. Right. Were you guys arguing about something in here? Facebook CIA. Yeah, I don't use Facebook at all. So I haven't used it in almost like 2 years. Being treated as a double homicide. North Ontario. What is this? Maxime Bernier. Some poor abused Muslim woman escaped. The one, hold on a sec here. Trump's second favorite ally, Saudi Arabia, beheaded 47 people. Yeah, right. Is Chrystia Freeling going to call that out? No, she's not going to call that out. AJ was teasing you about liking Canada second. All good fun. You were? Fuck you, Kel. Go to hell. You're going to lose your wrench. Very, very soon. Very soon. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. I won't take that away from you. Good reason not to go to the malls anymore. Yeah, right. It's unfortunate, right? And I don't dislike anybody, people of color or anything like that, but we are being invaded. And I don't want to say it in a way that like people are doing it knowingly, like violently, and people want to intentionally kind of like invade our countries, but that is what is fucking happening right now. We're to the point, like the amount of immigration that is coming in, the how low of our birth rates are, and the amount how people are now just starting to say, oh, well, we don't really want whites in the discussion anymore here. And this is increasing more and more because people have the numbers to be able to say stuff like this, right? There's an article I have up here about a university that said, here, I'll show this right here. University hosts no whites allowed listening sessions to promote inclusivity. So, at least they're being honest, right? Like, that's what diversity means, right? Inclusivity, diversity just means no white people, because white people are racist, are inherently racist. And the only way to create a good, just world that has no racism and where people can speak honestly and freely is where there's a lack of white people, right? So Wake Forest University is hosting a series of listening sessions for faculty and staff of color that aim to advance inclusion efforts on campus. And it's like, why wouldn't they, if it's about inclusion efforts and making it more inclusive, why wouldn't they include white people? Why would they just have a thing for people of color? Because what they're going to be doing is talking shit about white people. Like, that's what they're going to be doing. Does anybody think that's going to be different? No, that's the only fucking reason people don't want white people there, because they're going to go and they're going to bitch about how white supremacy is bad and how white people are this and regular white people are just as bad as Nazi white people, because they think they're trying not to be racist, but them trying not to be racist and treating me equal is actually very racist and more racist than a Nazi calling me the N-word, right? Like, they've gone like full circle, these people. The listening session come amid ongoing racial tensions on campus, including a protest Monday at which some students decried the white supremacy that allegedly runs rampant at the private North Carolina institution. Dear faculty and staff colleagues, this is a reminder about our upcoming listening sessions on inclusion that I am holding for faculty and staff of color over the next several weeks, stated in April 18 email from Michelle Gillespie, Dean of the college. So this is the Dean of the college. Here are the upcoming dates information, blah, 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 staff of color only. It said staff of color, for faculty, staff who identify as faculty, staff of color. So this is how they said no whites allowed, so they have to say, people who identify as people of color, only them who are allowed. So is Rachel Dolezal allowed in there? Is that white lady who identifies as being a person of color? Is she allowed to go in there? Because it's just people who identify, right? Because they do this for those people that look really white, but that have like a black parent or a black, I don't know, a half black parent that looks black. And then they look really white, but they still want to be considered black. So they're just like, oh, well, I'm black. I know I look pretty much white, but I'm black. But most people don't see you that way anyways, buddy. And those people are like the worst, right? Those people, they have like a massive identity crisis. But Jill Spee, as well as campus spokesperson Katie Neal, did not return several emails over the last few days from the college fix seeking comment. Well, of course she didn't. As for campus protest, the Winston-Salem Journal reported that a coalition of students, faculty, and staff at the Wake Forest University demanded Monday that university officials immediately begin a zero-tolerance policy for white supremacy after several developments in the recent months heightened concerns about racism on campus. So this is why they do these bogus hate-filled, like hate crimes and shit. So they can do stuff like this. So they can be like, oh, now we can implement this and implement this. Now we could kick white people off of campus for a day, like they did with that, or like Bernstein guy, or that, I can't remember, that Jewish dude. The article cites a few examples that have riled, the examples are funny too, that have riled the campus community, including a racist Instagram post that quipped about building a wall between Wake Forest and its crosstown rival, historically black university. So they wanted to build a wall between, and this is being called racist because they're like, oh, well, the university on the other side of the wall is historically black. So they say historically black because they just don't want to come out and outright say black university. So segregated black university. Also cited was old yearbook blackface photos and a photo of, why did they historically black? Because everybody there who goes there is black. There's probably like one white person there, so they could say, see, we take in white people. Like they're all black. Just so they can, you can segregate, but white people, you're not allowed to segregate. Also cited was old yearbook blackface photos. So from the 80s, in a photo of Wake Forest students posing in front of a Confederate flag in the 1980s, two of whom are now UFU administrators. So from the 80s, they're in front of a Confederate flag, which a lot of people stood in front of. But now that Confederate flag, where even in America, like not even that long ago, 10, 15 years ago, it wasn't considered that bad. And now it's like the fucking Nazi flag, right? It's become the Nazi flag. And now they're protesting for a picture from 40 years ago. These people, this is why leftists, you see their memes and shit. It's always like something today mixed in with something old and black and white. They're like, see, it's the exact same. Like, that Instagram post, it was actually a parody. As for the blackface photos, there are a few universities across the nation that haven't found a few of those old in the yearbooks. And the two administrators pictured in front of the Confederate flag, they've apologized. Their apologies have not been accepted, however. See, don't apologize. Protesters are likely furious that one of the deans in the 37-year-old photo has refused to step down from her job despite their demands. So, see, white person, step down. We're going to replace you with a black person because once this happens, all of our grades are going to skyrocket and we're all going to be scientists and engineers. And although the journal article doesn't mention it, there was another racist incident from February. A student in a cowboy outfit whose lasso was mistaken for a noose. See? You see? Like, this is probably jotted down as a hate crime against black people, right? It was a student in a cowboy outfit whose lasso was mistaken as a noose. People, noose! Did they see that? There was like, somebody thought there was like a white supremacist in like in an office a while back, but it was just like a cloth or a linen on a fucking chair or something. Like, these people, they see it everywhere. They see white supremacy literally everywhere. And although the journal article doesn't mention it, there was another racist incident the group leading the accusations of white supremacy and racism calls itself the Wake Forest University Anti-Racism Coalition. So anti-white person, anti-white racism. Why don't they just come out and say anti-white racism? Or, because nobody cares about racism. They only care about white people being racist. Its members refuse to accept that the Build a Wall post was simply a parody in poor judgment and have maintained it's an acute example of racism and white supremacy at the school. So that's their big example, right? Is somebody saying build a wall. Indeed, when a white female peer told them to relax and take a joke, she received death threats. So she received death threats for doing that. Meanwhile, administrators tried to appease the coalition by launching an investigation into the post. Clearly, that didn't work. During Monday's protest, anti-racism coalition members invited UFU president, whatever, and other campus leaders to publicly apologize for the roles they played in perpetuating UFU's white supremacy, according to a tweet from a participant. Hatch, who attended the protest, declined their invitation to tell the crowd he's sorry. So yeah, these people have lost their fucking minds. The coalition contends black students at Wake Forest are facing the same problems encountered by the first black student admitted to the university way back in 1962. So nothing has changed in these past 60 years. almost 60 years, we haven't progressed at all. That's why I said before, like one of the videos, the leftists, they always say, work has yet to be done. We still need work to be done over more and more and more and more forever and ever. Let me check out the chat here, though. Didn't miss anything. Ontario. Let me see here. AJ was teasing. Okay. Trump's second favorite. Mother Juliet Muhammad, 47 years old, 130 pound, 5 foot, blue shirt, black leggings, black boots with fur and brown coat. They're talking shit about how he's cozying up with nationalists and making them party members, which they're right, because nationalists are for big government. They're talking shit about how he's cozying up with nationalists. Oh, well, yeah, well, you know what? The libertarians that are talking shit about Maxim right now with that are faggots. I'm telling you, man, they're pussy fags, and they don't want to talk about immigration, which he's talking about, right? He's talking about immigration, and that's what they're saying. He's lining up with nationalists. Now, he's still fucking libertarian. That's not the problem. Fucking libertarian, those pussy ones, they're pussy faggots, and they're weak. And this is why the Libertarian Party has always been weak and small and tiny and has never grown, because they've never had the balls to say anything other than the bullshit stuff, like the basic libertarian shit, which I all agree with. I think it's all great, and I love it. I think it's all great stuff, but if you're too much of a bitch to talk about immigration because, you think it's a good thing or whatever, but here, 1 second, a phone call. But if you're not willing to talk about immigration because you're thinking, oh, well, we should have an open border because, true libertarianism, but you should only do that if you were to have absolutely no government, because you don't want to have social services running and a safety social welfare net and then have an open border, right? But these people, they're pussies, right? They're scared. They don't want to be divisive. That's why I hear about a lot of these libertarian people that are afraid to talk about race and whatnot. That's because they're scared. They're pussies, and they don't want to admit that, hey man, if you want a libertarian society, it's gonna have to be mainly white, right? Just sorry to tell you, buddy. Well, thank you again, man. Hey, Fredrick, thank you for all the donations, man. I really appreciate it, man. You don't have to give me any more, man. Write a letter to your MP and MLP, MPP saying you are scared of anti-Caucasianism. Right. Fredrick is right there. Like there's so much anti-white racism going on, and that isn't being called out. And nobody has the same sympathy for us after Muslims go and kill a bunch of people. They're like, oh, there's going to be a backlash. Oh, there's a backlash that Muslims are scared of now. Oh, we got all the security around mosques now just for the eventual backlash. But churches, oh, well, the one that just burnt down in New Brunswick, I think it was Newfoundland, just the other day, there was a church that burnt down in Canada here. So this stuff, nobody gives a shit, though. Like that other story I was writing about, the anti-Semitic thing, they were the victims in that once again. Nothing ever about white people. Condemn Brunei, support Saudi Arabia. Yeah, right. Condemn Brunei. Are you talking about me? Trump's second favorite ally, Saudi Arabia, beheaded 47, or are you talking about Trump? Well, yeah, right. But that's a clear reason that he's doing that, because Trump doesn't have morals or whatever, and yeah, it's a tricky fucking thing. But what's going on right now is, yeah, they're trying to give, seems like, Saudi Arabia a huge boost or something on the oil market, because I know I know Trump is doing something about sanctions and with gas recently on China and stuff, and on some of these other countries and Iran, and something to do with gasoline. I can't remember, but yeah, there's a lot of crazy shit going on with that right now. They're taking shit about how Quebec is the province. I'm going to Maine. Watch your step. Yeah, I'm going to watch my step. Don't worry, Jesus. Saudi Arabia surveillance all mosque. I got your back, Kel. I was saying I'm against socialism where we all the same under law, okay, but we're all different with different strengths and weaknesses. Plus, I'm small and drink beer. Yeah, it's good. Just drink beer, man. It's all good. Make sure you visit Quebec. They're being honest and evil. You don't ban a race to promote inclusivity. That's nuts. Right, Saint. How's it going, Saint, by the way? And Sonina, how's it going? How's it going, Annihilation Haven as well? And William Hunter, I didn't mention you there before. No one cares about Mohammeds. That's racist. All Mohammed lives matter. Viewers, please come in and join the chat. Yeah, come on. Join the chat. Hit the like button, share, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Like I said, join me on BitChute, all Gab, Minds, all that other crap, IDW. I got links in the description below. Canada passes reverse Jim Crow laws. I'm going. I'll be back. Take it easy, just a kitty. I'm not racist. I hate everyone equally. No, that's true. No, I'm racist. I'm definitely racist. No, don't cut that out. They want open borders. Okay, I missed. I was way up in chat there. I missed a bunch of shit here. Show us your hyper beast outfits. My hype beast outfits. What's that? What's that? Don't think I want to use that gay loony either. I think I'm going to call it a goonie. Speaking from experience, when you elect your PM, make sure they don't fuck up. Yeah, speaking of that, there's a huge blue wave going on, and CBC was doing a little article about it, and they were talking about why there's a blue wave and what's going on. And I actually have this segment. I'll probably play it for you guys starting really soon. But I'll go through the chat a little bit more here. He was pretty good. Got to respect his attitude at least. Hey, John Keating, how's it going, buddy? And Randy Doan, not sure if I pronounced that. Hey, Tron Nort, how's it going, buddy? They aren't. Look at the UK. The Muslims there have finally begun their campaign against gay rights. Right. They're gonna win that. They're gonna win that war. Pray for Canada, y'all. These Nazis are clowns. They want open borders, but with no welfare state, which only productive people will come. They got a good argument. Well, yeah, I want open. You could have open borders potentially, and no welfare state, but you're not gonna get that right now. You're much more likely to get closed borders first, then scale stuff back. So they don't have I don't know what their argument per se is, but I don't think they're thinking of winning, right? Or they're thinking long term, because they're right. If we were to get rid of all the different types of socialism and all that stuff, then you could theoretically have open borders and stuff to an extent, because you wouldn't have lots of welfare going around. But we're so far removed from that. The border is the very last thing to come down. So we're so far from that utopic time or place where we have so much freedom, right? But we're so far from that we need border control, that we can't just let people come in and exploit our country. And it's good. I hope he panders more to the nationalist. Good. We need to align libertarians, nationalist, white nationalist, national socialist, whatever. We all got to align. Especially libertarians really need to start identifying with their race more, right? I'm not saying you have to go out and be like, I love white people are great, and white people this, white people that, but we need to identify and understand that we are a group. We are a group, and people look at us as a group, and they will treat us as a group, and we need to start acting as a group, right? We need to start doing that. We need to start, libertarians, white libertarians need to understand that the future, that if you want a libertarian future, you need border control now. You need to try to keep the country white as much as possible, because these people are the only people with a history of creating libertarian societies. The only people. And I had these people that try to argue with me on this. Like, this, can you point to somewhere else? Very few other places, right? But I want a turban for a helmet. Federal and Ontario Libertarian Party members are pretty smart guys, and you should add them on Facebook. Great conversations with them. Well, all right. Well, maybe they're pretty smart. I'm not completely discounting you, but whenever I hear from libertarians and they start going like, "Oh, I don't want to," the far right, the nationalist stuff, then I'm like, you're just a pussy. Then maybe they're smart. I've met lots of smart pussies, right? A lot of smart pussies out there, but that's really what it is. People. It's great to talk about the economy. It's great to talk about socialism and how bad it is and how terrible it is, but if you're also not talking about the racial aspect, the anti-white racism, and all that stuff that's going on right now, then I don't know, you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're increasingly going to become a dwindling party, because white people are the only people that want small government on average. Man, I'm not saying other people can't be convinced to want smaller government, but at the very moment, we have a history of getting it. We get zero sympathy. Yeah, you're right. We do. We get zero sympathy. There are entire cities in the UK that are also majority Muslim. Yeah, we are being replaced. Mainly white, slightly diluted, D-bro, no fear porn. Blue Apple is still hanging around to see if she's being backtalked. She needs fodder for her channel. Oh, sorry. I read that out loud. Don't backtalk her, guys. All good. We need to be united. We don't need to be against each other and at each other's throats for stupid shit, whatever. Hey, man, if we're for Canadians and we for the future of Canada and Canadians as a whole, then you're good in my books, right? And hopefully your definition of the future of Canada and being good is the same definition as mine, though, right? Or more or less. Doesn't have to be exactly, but let's see here. It's from Fredrick. There is a part in rural India where young boys are regularly raped by older boys. There was a CBC doc on it. What religion were they? Yeah, right. Yeah, it's fucked up. I'm afraid the gay coins make me gay. No idiots putting scarves on. What's AJ is a racist? Read it, rants stream. Yeah, I know. I'm rants. He's the biggest racist of them all. I'm pretty sure. Censorship is proof that Big Brother is anti-Semite. That Big Brother. Wait, what about the Winnipeg? I read two comments and put them together. I was like, what the hell? That doesn't make any sense. What about the Winnipeg false flag, anti-Semite flag? It was fake, or well, allegedly the media is reporting on. But like what I predicted in my video, I said it was fake. It was clearly fake. I think anybody with common sense would be able to tell you that. Funny link. Still follow you because you follow a path that is almost illegal. Appreciate you taking the time to express it. Thank you, buddy. Lumberjack versus hipster. The difference about 100 pounds of muscle. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm not a lumberjack or a hipster, but I guess I kind of dress like one. Calococa, Blue Apple like a gay loon. Blue Apple lives matter. Yeah, guys, come on. They do matter. We need unity. White people are the only people to want smaller government. Is there a study, a survey that supports this? Yeah, look at the world. Look at the world. Okay, actually look at the Libertarian Party. Go and look at the Libertarian Party in America or Canada or practically any other European country, right? Is there like a Libertarian Party in South Africa, in China, and North Korea, and the Middle East, and Qatar, North Africa? No. This is a creation from white people, and a lot of people are turned away from libertarianism, specifically minorities as well, because they're like, this is white supremacy. Meritocracy, free markets, that's white supremacy, right? but yeah, if you're not sure that the majority of libertarians are white, they are. Just look at the party membership and all the libertarian parties. The majority of them are white, and they're male. They're white males, right? That's just the truth. Be nice, people. Government, is there a study, survey that supports this? Be nice, people. Just tuned back in. What's wrong, Blue Apple Cal? I make sure I spread my racist. AJ, at least when it comes to loonies, the ones in your pocket are all equal in value. The loonies walking around have all the rights to privilege, right? I listened to that video of Chrystia Freeland today. She claimed women here are close to being men's equal, but still not equal yet, right? So that's the thing with leftists, right? It's never enough. Women are never going to be close to equal in the minds of the left, even though they have way more rights and privileges than men do. Women make more money than men on average if they're unmarried, without kids. They make more money than men. And then the majority of money that men make goes to women to pay for the stuff that they like and the stuff that they want. So it's this crazy world, this clown world that we're living in, where it's never good enough. We always need to do more, and we need to if all white men are gone and working in the mailroom, then maybe they'll be happy. Maybe at that point. But still then they'll probably be like, well, you're not like licking my boots, and you're not eating the stuff I throw on the ground, and you're not thanking me for it, and you're not licking up the dust afterwards. Like, you're not very grateful, and this is because you're white supremacy, blah, 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 right? You stupid white male. You're a white male. You're a white male, Taxes are supposed to be for foreigners and corporations that use our infrastructure. Taxes are to maintain infrastructure. Right. That should be very basic, but we keep adding things onto it. Like, oh, we want this, we want that, we want this. So the government continues to grow and grow and grow. She treats others host like they are meanings. Her worst ones were going after Kelly. Yeah, that's true. She did go after them, but I'm not going to get involved with that shit. Freeland is a Terminator reject. Did you see Omar Kadar on CBC? What a joke. Yeah, I did see that. And they're giving him a platform. And there's this one black guy. He was like, so how are you so strong? Like, I look at you and you're so strong. And I'm like, and I ask myself, and he's like, yeah, I know. I'm just able to do it. And he's smiling, and it's like the crowd is like clapping, saying, "Oh, good job, Omar! Oh, good job! You're a great man." But it's crazy. Like, would they do this to a right winger who killed somebody and killed a soldier, a left wing? Would they do this to that guy who ran into that girl at Charlottesville or something with the car later on, and have this thing like, oh, you're so strong for doing this? Well, I guess, they shouldn't have put him in Guantanamo and all that other crap, but it's just insane. And then what did you guys hear about that one woman that lost her leg for in the military? Or she wasn't in the military when she lost it, but she's been fighting the government for like 13 years to get reimbursed or money for the prosthetic leg. And she also like lost her kid in the process too. And it wasn't on duty, but she was going to do something for work, right? Like, it was she was going to do something for work, and she got hurt along the way. And now, like, the Conservatives are kind of making an issue about this too, but under their government too, she also wasn't getting help. But at the same time, I can kind of understand why they're fighting her in a sense in court, because it would set a precedent that if you were to give somebody reimbursed or money, right? Let's just say all these veterans start coming back and they get hurt after they when they're here and stuff. And just because somebody's a veteran doesn't necessarily mean they're like heroes and shit either. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not everybody who's there saw action and was this and that. Like, people go into it for many different reasons, but it is bullshit. It is crazy, like, how much they fight it. But I can, to be the devil's advocate, I can kind of be like, I can understand the precedent being set if you were to give her it, if it was provable that happened, off of work. Like, when I get hurt off work, I don't get reimbursed. But if I'm working, then yeah, they'll cover it or whatever. But if I'm not working and I break my leg, right, like, I'm not going to get paid for my work. The EI or whatever is not going to cover me. But if I do it while I'm working, and yeah, they'll do it. But so it's kind of tricky, right? It's disgusting, but obviously he is fighting veterans for a bunch of different issues, and also cutting their funding dramatically while throwing money away to third world countries every single day. It seems like and giving money to activist groups to search up online to find hate groups and to rouse them out, right? And what was also to do with his Supreme Court pick that he's doing recently, and apparently the group that he's picking from is like all liberals, or like 70% or something of the people who've donated have all given to like liberals. Of the pool of people he's donating, like 10% gave to conservatives, I think, at one point. And there's all these people defending the process on Twitter saying, oh no, it's not partisan. It's not partisan. And you know who's going to be overseeing it? I saw these two, like, obviously, propagandists in Twitter arguing, saying that there's one person who's pretending to be a right winger, and they're like, oh, well, the person who's going to be overseeing it is going to be Kim Campbell, right? That woman prime minister for like a day or something, or like a month. Like, oh, and I'm pretty sure she's a Tory. Like, if anybody has not been on Twitter and you have not seen Kim Campbell's Twitter account, go there now. It's literally like nothing to do with Canada. Nothing to do with Canada ever. It's all to do with America. The last tweet I saw being promoted on Twitter, it was her talking about Elizabeth Warren. And she's just a hardcore lefty. Like, she would be like the hardcore lefty in America. She's practically a fucking socialist. Finally, I finally see her tweet about fucking Canada. And the only thing she ever fucking tweets, like, about Canada, the first thing I've ever seen her tweet is about Ontario. Ontario library cuts are sudden and short-sighted, but manageable. Okay, but like that's the only thing. But all she talks about is Europe. She never talks about anything Canada, and it's always like, anti-Trump. Look at Hillary Clinton. She's posted with fucking Hillary Clinton. Els Marie, whoever the fuck that is. David Frum. Retweeting David Frum. We're still open, ruling class, just tossing. All she talks about Trump and the left. I hate her fucking Twitter account. This is very good. Lana Trump, Merkel admitting. You guys hear about that story? Let me see here. Merkel admitting migrants, one of the worst things that ever happened to Germany. And the left was freaking out about this. They're like, what? Oh, and all these people on Twitter were like, oh, are you sure? I think Hitler was the worst thing that has ever happened to Germany. Like, oh, you're so dumb. It's like, no. Honestly, this is worse. This is worse. At least the German people continued to exist after Hitler fucking lost and got them into war. But what's going on with letting in all these immigrants, these migrants, like what's going on, eventually the German people won't exist. So it's worse. It's much worse. But the left was freaking out about this today. And they're like, oh my God, how could you say this? Oh, I hate this scum too. This guy's scum. Just horrible. Horrible. And look at the moments. See, like the moments. This is what I'm subjected to because I don't have a Twitter account anymore. Because, you know, as you see, it's fucking. Here, I'll go to home. See, your account is currently suspended. Suspended accounts forever. Your accounts, but see moments I'm forced to look through this shit sometimes. You know, this mobster guy shot coma after major stroke. Sri Lanka. Biden, the child groper, is going to run for office. Woman, this police remove climate people, blah blah blah. But yeah, you know, on the phone version, you can see all these like highlighted tweets. Juliet Mohammed, the fuck is this? What is Juliet Mohammed? Oh, is it that? Oh, is it that person you're talking about? Amber alert issued for missing 5-year-old Mississauga boy. Oh yeah, they're dead. They're dead. Phones across the bureau. You know, he looks partly Asian. Looks partly Asian. Amber alert. But yeah, that's fucked up. Prince William. What was this? No, it was a clown. That was my video. Oh yeah, so this is a video from CBC talking about the blue wave in Canada here.
Is Canada becoming conservative country overall? Let's discuss this with our panel. In Ottawa, writer with iPolitics, Katie O'Malley. In Ottawa, Globe and Mail columnist John.
Is Canada becoming a conservative country? Right, that's what they're going.
Social media editor at BuzzFeed.
This guy's
Elamine Adel Mahmoud. Elamine, I'll start with you because I haven't seen you in so long.
Yeah.
Is Canada becoming a conservative country? Are we a conservative country?
I mean, look, we are a country that has a history of sort of flipping the order so that when we have one party in power federally, a lot of provinces tend to go the other way. That is the one thing that we've seen sort of historically across this country. You can't really say that a PEI conservative is the same as an Alberta conservative.
So as we just heard, yeah.
Exactly. And in that sense, it's real hard to sort of pin down the idea that there's a uniform conservative wave across the country.
Okay, John, what do you think?
I think there is a wave of opposition to incumbent governments across the country.
Yes.
A lot of those incumbent governments were liberal. So if conservatives
No.
are looking at these numbers.
No. Is this like they're conservative? Is it? Fuck, I hate CBC. Is this their conservative? Well, it's not a retaliation against Trudeau. It's just a retaliation against the incumbent government. It has nothing to do with liberals and their policies and carbon tax and blah, 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 blah. It's the incumbent government and just Canadians, need to vote out incumbent governments, even though Harper was around for multiple elections and shit.
And these results, they should be feeling good. There is a concerted opposition to the carbon tax among provincial governments from Alberta through to New Brunswick. There is a general feeling, it seems, in the land that the bums need to be thrown out, and most of those bums were liberals up until very recently. So if you were to translate it to the federal level, you would say, well, all right, on the one hand, maybe this looks good for.
So essentially, our propaganda at the CBC worked to convince everybody to vote out the Conservatives, but now our counter propaganda to keep liberals isn't working. So yeah, it's just a trend of people kicking people out, blah blah blah, every year or so.
For us, conservatives in the provinces and then liberals in Ottawa. But on the other hand, I think if I were a liberal looking at this, I would say I don't like this tendency of voters to toss out whoever is the incumbent government of the day.
Okay, we'll talk more about why that is, the issues that might be surrounding that. But Katie, I want you to weigh in. What do you think is happening here? And give us your opinion on what happened in what appears to be another conservative win in PEI.
Well, I have to say that, and again, I hate to agree with both of my other panelists, but I really don't see this as part of a trend. I think as journalists, political journalists,
it's not a trend.
Tempted constantly to try to see narratives and themes and trend lines and turn it all into
get your teeth fixed.
That always ends in a federal election that reflects the provinces. Very rarely does it actually turn out that way, and I think it's kind of dangerous for us to assume that when we're going into it. That said, I actually would suggest the most interesting to me and noteworthy aspect of last night's election on Prince Edward Island was actually the momentum shown by the Greens. Now, they didn't manage to seal a deal. They didn't.
This is Manitoba. Don't forget it. We exist. We exist.
Elect enough seats. They didn't fill enough seats to win government or to try to form a government minority, but they more than doubled their seat count. They're now the official opposition. It's part of a trend that I suspect is making Elizabeth May and the federal Greens very happy. And what it does suggest, and I heard another analyst saying this earlier today, is Canadians do seem to be now more willing to embrace non-traditional parties. And the Green Party...
Okay, so she's definitely a Green voter. And what? The stories about how the Green Party is fucking... she's right in some sense that they're getting more support. But that's because the Liberals... they're trying to play both sides to some extent, or pretending to play both sides. And, the stupid Liberals are too dumb to see through it. So they think that he's like, oh, he's actually for oil business, and CBC is a right-wing organization. It's crazy. That's how they think. It's insane. They're crazy people. And that's why he's losing some support to the Greens and shit. And it's not necessarily an embrace of fringe parties. It's that the fucking left in Canada, left in America is becoming more and more fringe. And the left is becoming, they're becoming like extremists. They're becoming extreme left. The Liberals and stuff, like the Greens and the NDP are just further left, but the Liberals are not far behind them.
Is one that can really take advantage of that.
It's interesting too, though, because there's a lot of when that poll came out about Canadians thinking that there's too many white or non-white minorities in Canada. The majority of people who said that there was just enough, or where it went down, was only the Liberal Party. So that's kind of interesting, right? So that kind of tells you that Liberal Party is not only the party of corporations, it's the party of corporations and immigrants, because they use those immigrants to import, to bring cheap labor and all this other shit, right? Whereas these socialist far left parties are, some of them, like, they're all open to immigration shit too, but they're just like that. They're just open to that type thing, but they're far left, but they also have a problem with, like, I noticed there's a lot of immigrants and stuff here, but the Liberals are immigrants and stuff know from just the way the policies and stuff the Liberals put forth that is their party, right? Like, that is their home.
Federal Liberals, what I would be worrying about isn't so much the notion that there's a conservative wave, but that there are more options for people on the center left, which could lead to vote splitting, which could make for a much more volatile dynamic in terms of when people go to the polls.
Yeah.
Oh, but Maxime Bernier is going to vote split. What about the NDPs and the Green?
Yeah, and I do want to say, with respect, I disagree with Katie. I think there is a wave, there is a trend. It's a trend to defeat incumbent governments, who just happened, it would have seemed, to be...
Who's the smuck?
In cases Liberal, but also in some cases NDP. There is, I think, has been a general sense of discontent since the financial crisis of 2008, 2009.
So that's the problem.
That things have never really, the ship has never really righted itself. that even though the unemployment levels are low, jobs are precarious, they don't have permanence, it seems impossible for younger people to be able to accumulate the savings they need to buy a house. The economy is contingent. Defined benefit plans are a thing of the past. So there's a restlessness in the middle class, and various politicians have come to power saying, I understand your pain and I have ways to fix it. They don't. And then people decide, well, then I'll try someone else. There is one other thing, though, that we have to look at, and that is that carbon tax. Because while the Greens...
when was the last time we had like a one-term prime minister too, right? Like usually they have a couple terms. So like Trudeau has alienated a lot of Canada very fast with his policies. And it's not just us, it's not just Canadians who like to get rid of incumbent governments because they're like, they're mad with the current things of since 2008, the economy and blah blah blah, and that's why they're gonna switch. It's like, no, it's like fucking Harper got voted 2 times after the fucking like the what do you call it? The economy, right? Like what are you talking about? Like we did well under Harper under the 2008 crisis and shit compared to every other country, right? So I don't know, they're trying to make it about everything else other than talking about the policies that have pissed people off.
Made some significant progress in Prince Edward Island. You do have premiers from Edmonton all the way to Fredericton saying that we are adamantly opposed to the Liberal carbon tax and we will campaign against it in the next election. So there is a true split over climate change on the one hand, but I hate carbon taxes on the other. And that is something that's going to play out very prominently, I think, in federal politics over the next 6 months.
Okay, go ahead, Ellie.
Well, I just wanted to give a little bit of a context to the trend that John is pointing out here. So, like, we used to be pretty familiar with the idea that governments, like provincial governments, tend to win second mandates. But that has not really been happening for some time in this country. So, for example, you saw that Quebec has been governed by 3 different parties just in the last, I think, like 8 or 9 years. So
that's his example, Quebec. Harper won multiple terms. What are you talking about? Well, in Quebec, they have a bunch of people that don't have 2 terms.
We are definitely in a state of restlessness, and I think that's
nothing to do with Trudeau.
And that's the part that doesn't bode that.
And nothing against gay people. This guy's a flaming hobo.
And what do you think, Elamine, is causing that restlessness, that impatience to not even wait out another term?
Well, I mean, for one thing, you hate to point down south, but like there is a change.
It's Trump.
About how we talk about politics.
Trump
in this country and in the U.S., and I think some of that has seeped into our politics. Our politics have become much more charged, I think, just in the last 3 or 4 years.
So it's Trump. It has nothing to do with Trudeau calling out all his fucking enemies white supremacists.
Than they have been before. We saw just like the nastiness of these recent elections, especially Alberta one, has been sort of like marked for a lot of people. Like we don't really see a lot of.
How is it nasty? It was nasty from the left wing's perspective, accusing Jason Kennedy of supporting all these racist and getting like all these people to resign in his campaign, like Kaylin Ford and a few other people who were like, oh, look at their tweets that they made. And Jason Kennedy is going to kill you all because of his changes to this and that.
Nice politics about it anymore.
Okay. Katie, do you want to weigh in on what you think is making people so upset?
What world do these people see?
It's not so much that I think people are more upset than they are in the general cycle of up and down. I mean, governments ultimately are always going to be defeated. So there's always eventually going to be, an end to an incumbency. But I do wonder if the politically charged environment and also just the speed and the pace of news, of politics.
Okay, what the hell is wrong with her haircut? Like, what the fuck? Get a different haircut. Like, gee, at least this is normal. Like, you seem like a crazy lady.
Discussion is just causing all this to happen at kind of an accelerated rate. In other words, where it would have taken maybe 2 or even 3 mandates to get fully sick of a government in power, now they get 1 if they're lucky. So I think that might be playing into it as well. It isn't so much that people are more upset now than they would have been in the past. It's just that they're more willing to kind of take action, and everything just happens faster.
I have a feeling she gives a really good blowjob. I don't know why, but I just have that feeling.
I want to pick up on the comments about, and John, I think you made them about carbon tax. You're setting the terms for this panel tonight, John.
The mouth.
But let me start here. What is, and this is something you said, Elamy, what is the difference between a conservative in Alberta and a conservative in PEI? What is that fundamental difference? Anybody want to take that on?
Well, I think it is absolutely true that in the Maritimes in general, there is less political polarization, always has been. Traditionally, whether the Liberals, well, let's put it this way, whether the Grits or the Tories got in, and they're dependent on patronage as much as anything else. That's not the case now, of course. But you don't see the sharp divisions that you see, for example, in Alberta. Or British Columbia between...
What sharp divisions? They won 80 seats. They won 80 of the fucking seats out of like 100 or something, right? They won an overwhelming majority. Sharp divisions. Sharp divisions.
Political parties are now in Ontario.
No, there's a loud left that complains very loudly, and the media covers it and makes it seem like there's a loud fucking division. Like the media, they're reporting before, like, oh, NDP, they're catching up close to the Conservatives. Oh, they're almost on their tail. Oh, it's like...
Political party. That just doesn't exist in PEI. But we do have Mr. Higgs in New Brunswick, and he has joined the anti-carbon tax fight. And so to that extent, you have a progressive conservative in New Brunswick who's...
It's like, so, there isn't a wave of anything like that, but there's all these conservatives being elected and they're against policies, and it has nothing to do with policies. It's just trends of voting out politicians.
Every bit is anti-carbon tax as the conservative leaders in Ontario and Alberta and Saskatchewan and Manitoba. So there is that common front, and it does include one of the maritime provinces.
Yeah. Katie?
What I'm going to be really interested to see is I'm trying to cast my mind back and trying to remember any time where a provincial government's view of what the federal government was doing on a particular policy had any noticeable, perceivable impact on the way the electorate behaved. Because I know this is true in Ontario, and I suspect it's definitely can be the case in other provinces as well. Voters are perfectly capable of, having a completely bilateral approach. They look at the provincial government, they might cheerfully vote for Doug Ford's Progressive Conservatives, and then on the other hand, they are going to vote for federal Liberals or federal New Democrats. They seem to be very able to hold those seemingly contradictory positions.
Why are they so desperately trying to convince us people are not going against Trudeau? Like, a lot of people were lulled essentially into voting for him earlier on, and maybe mistakenly did. Stupidly, and not only that, but like there is people turning against him, and I don't know how the fucking seats and whatnot work in Ontario either. So Doug Ford won primarily because of the countryside, not the city. It's the cities that are bastions of liberalism and all this other shit, and the only way that the country and country stuff has a way to fight back is through, kind of like in America, how they have the electoral college and stuff where, these people have more representation, and they want to make it like, oh no, one vote, one person, right? They do it like that, then the Liberals will win continuously.
In terms of who they're going to elect at a provincial and federal level. And because of that, I definitely think the debate of the carbon tax is going to be a central feature. I'm really skeptical that the views of the provinces are going to have a significant influence over undecided voters. I think that, conservative and liberal partisans across the land are going to rally behind their federal representatives, whether provincial level or any other. But I'm not sure that the great undecided, the majority, frankly, of voters are going to be terribly pressured one way or another based on what they hear from their premier.
We'll see what happens, but I look at especially the Ontario and Alberta governments right now as giant super PACs, like their American equivalents. They have vast sums of money, and they are going to spend it on advertising, trying to demonize the Liberals as tax and spenders. I don't know how that looks good.
vast sums of money compared to the fucking 660 million or 90 million the CBC gets, and the 550 million that all the other media fucking industry gets. And not only that, they already, that's just on top of the money they already get. And they already have a liberal bias. Now they're gonna have even more of a liberal bias. Oh, but the Ontario and Alberta are like super PACs. They don't have access to all of their money to spend in funding for advertisement. They're not allowed to spend like a 10 million, 50 million, as much money as they want on advertising. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, Trudeau is the one who made all these rules that made it like illegal for people to like advertise during the campaign while he's using the CBC and all this other shit to promote his message while nobody else is allowed to. Like, who are these stooges?
Liberals or Howard could not have any
Look at people, they think they're watching CBC and informing themselves. Remember that.
impact whatsoever on the election campaign.
But I think the danger from that is that you end up getting, Doug Ford becomes the person who's defining what a conservative is nationally. I just don't think that translates across.
So Doug Ford is a cuck. He's a fucking cuck. And people like the Canadian, well, he doesn't define other conservatives. And most conservatives aren't as far right as him.
The land. So like maybe that will work for the Conservative Party picking up some seats here in this province, but I just don't know how well that would play out on, say, in the East Coast.
Well, that's interesting. Who is the father, because they're all men, the father of conservatism in this country? Is it Andrew Scheer? Is it Doug Ford or Jason Kenney?
Andrew Scheer would like to say it's Andrew Scheer, but I just don't know if that argument is sticking right now.
I would say the argument would be between.
It's Maxime Bernier. Sorry, guys. It honestly is. Like, if it comes down to people who are saying things that are more libertarian conservative, then yeah. But they want to make one of these three cucks as the father of conservative. You know why? Because they all support mass immigration. And you'll see.
Jason Kenney and Doug Ford. I haven't heard very many conservatives suggest or even put Andrew Scheer's name forward as being sort of the leader of the conservative movement. Now, maybe with time he'll get there, but at the moment, absolutely not.
The leader of the father.
And Max isn't great on the whole immigration, but he's not for mass immigration. He does understand the problems with mass immigration.
The Conservative Party and modern Conservative Party remains Stephen Harper. He was the one who pushed the Conservatives well over to the right. To that extent, Jason Kenney is very much Stephen Harper's heir.
We're living in a clown world, honestly, where the media is saying Stephen Harper pushed the Conservatives to the right. Like, how fucking far left were we if Stephen Harper pushed us to the right? Like, we have a big problem in Canada.
Ford injects a level of populism into conservatism that Stephen Harper, however, would not have accepted.
Yeah. No. Will Jason Kenney accept it? I mean, how do you think Jason Kenney?
What? Populism?
Doug Ford's politics.
I mean, they're willing to be on a magazine cover together, so that's a start. But I still don't think even.
What the fuck is so bad about Doug Ford? He's not planting 50,000 trees anymore. He's cutting spending. Oh, horrible monster! Like, I saw this article earlier from Canada or in Manitoba here, because we have a premier that's a conservative, and he made a lot of changes to the healthcare, and now they're hiring some private nurses, right, to come in and to alleviate some other nurses so they don't get tons of overtime type shit, and then they're not working tons of overtime, right? And this is actually better. And like, you can pay these people. They're like, oh, they're paying private things to come in and nurses to come in and give these workers a break. Like, this is horrible. The free market is doing it instead of us. Oh my God, this is terrible, because they just assume when cuts are made, nothing is going to be taken care of, right? Nobody's going to be getting help. But if you make cuts, but then you open up avenues for people to create competition, to create businesses, to create things to come and fill in the place, then you don't need that funding. Then you let the people, you let them keep that money, and then they can go and have choice as opposed to just using the government. You know, there's a story today in the top news where there's a girl, she's complaining about, I think it was New Brunswick or the healthcare system, how she was waiting for years and she wasn't getting help, and now she has like this tumor that's grown so fucking big. And, you know, because all these doctors were like, you know, it's whatever, it's not a problem, this and that. And, you know, she's trying to put pressure on the premier, like, you know, but she's just calling for more funding. And he's like, oh, no, we've increased the necessary funding. And that's not ever going to solve the problem. Increasing funding is not going to solve the problem. It's the whole system that is fucked to begin with. And it's always going to be fucked. It's going to keep getting fucked. And it's inefficient. And throwing money at the problem is never going to solve the issue. You got to restructure it. You got to privatize more things and allow the free market to take control of it, as opposed to just being like, well, our funding for healthcare is $1 billion this year. Well, we'll make it 1.5 billion. Okay, now we'll make it 2 billion, 5, 10 billion.
Even with their values, I'm not sure that they're defining what, you know, modern conservatism is in this country. So far, they mostly just seem to be defining what anti-Trudeauism is, and I think that's a very different stance.
What is modern conservatism in Canada? What is it?
Somebody should tell me, because I have no idea.
Over to you, John.
Well, if you believe that that Doug Ford and Jason Kenney, even though there is a difference in the populist element, reflect modern conservatism, then it is a conservatism that
blowjob
is anti-tax, anti-regulation, pro-business, a minimal amount of initiatives on the environment, not anti-immigrant, remains pro-immigrant in that sense. Remember, it was immigrant voters that got Doug Ford elected. But then
it was immigrant voters that got Doug Ford elected. I'm sure some immigrants voted for him, but did they make up the majority of the voters that voted for Doug Ford? I don't think so. So, you know, see, they don't want to inform white people that you have power, that you can get people elected and shit.
Generally speaking, wants to see a smaller role for the state.
But yeah, see what he's saying. He's pro. See, he's pro-immigration, but just wants a smaller role for the state and this and that. But for some reason, he says this is counter to Stephen Harper, or like in a little bit. I don't understand his point coming up. Like,
state and society. And to that extent, whether you're Doug Ford or Jason Kenney or any of the other conservative premiers, you are speaking against Stephen Harper's conservatism, which was all about shrinking the size of the state and increasing initiative for individuals and for businesses.
John, I think you just put more.
So I don't understand the difference. Like, what is he saying that's different? Like, is he saying that Stephen Harper wanted a smaller government, but then he said these guys want a smaller government too? So I'm like, I don't.
You are speaking against Stephen Harper's conservatism, which was all about shrinking the size of the state and increasing initial.
Okay, what? 1 sec.
On the environment, not anti-immigrant, remains pro-immigrant.
Okay, a little bit further back.
Again, is anti-tax, anti-regulation, pro-business.
See, anti-tax, anti-regulation, pro-business. That's small government.
A minimal amount of initiatives on the environment.
Yes.
Not anti-immigrant.
Well, other than that bullshit, because immigration is a government program and it's killing us. But
pro-immigrant in that sense. Remember, it was immigrant voters that got Doug Ford.
Yeah, he wants cheap fucking labor.
Elected. But then, generally speaking, wants to see a smaller role for the state and society. And to that extent, whether you're Doug Ford or Jason Kenney or any of the other conservative premiers,
pussies,
you are speaking against Stephen Harper's conservatism, which was all about shrinking the size of the state and increasing initiative for individuals and for businesses.
John,
I don't get the difference. I don't know what he's saying. Yeah, I'm just dumb.
Well, let me ask you very quickly, because we're out of time, but almost out of time. There's always a little bit more in the bank, isn't that right? But at the end end of the day, did Stephen Harper really shrink the government?
The federal government, as a percentage of GDP, shrank to the levels not seen since the days of John Diefenbaker, when Stephen Harper was prime minister. Remember, he held the line on spending after the financial crisis for a number of years, something no federal government had ever done before.
All right, well, we'll leave it there on that note. Katie O'Malley, John Ibbotson.
And it worked.
Conservative credentials are back.
And it worked.
Alameen Abdel Mahmoud, thank you all for joining us tonight.
You know, he held the spending and it paid off, didn't it? It paid off, didn't it? Okay, let me go up here. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Randy. Yep. Okay. All right. Good. I didn't miss much. AJ, at least when it comes to loonies. Let me see here. Let me go down. I think I'm going to end it in a little bit, about maybe 5 or so minutes. What the fuck? Let me check out the chat, though. Hey, Flood Power belong. Jerry, how's it going, buddy? No, AJ. She needs a cock in that no-lip mouth. I know, she's got no lips, right? She's a reptilian-shaped shifting freak. Yeah, I know, but I just have a feeling. I was like, I have a feeling she would give like good BJs or something. Just the look in her eyes, right? Tired. He does look like he's fresh off the boat. The African jungle. 6% years ago, I delivered the Montreal Gazette on the street. Now I live on. Now there's not one other English Canadian at the hospital. I wait behind many people not born in Canada ahead of elderly. Yeah, William, it's really fucked up, man. It's disgusting. Oh, one sec here, man. Oh, thank you, Flood Power belong. Hey, boss, I appreciate the show. If you haven't already, you might consider listening to the CBC Up to Speed radio segment with the Nazi hoax family. Keep up the good work, brother. The CBC Up to Speed radio segment with the Nazi hoax family. Do they actually talk to them? And like, are they actually giving interviews or something? That would be killing us. We're refreshing the population. Oh yeah, you're right. We're refreshing the population. Japelin. I have my vote. We should all go off the grid and see how leftists will survive. That'd be funny, Sonina. We know they aren't even from here. Wow, Addict, the same problem exists. Who goes first? I'm surrounded by leftists in Toronto. I keep getting told we're all immigrants all the time. Funny how I have a Canadian birth certificate, right? You know, I love being told I'm an immigrant when my ancestors literally were some of the first people in Western Canada. Like my great ancestor was the first white woman in the West. And before white people came along, there was nothing. There was no Canada. There was no buildings. There was no money. There was no infrastructure. There was no wealth. There was teepees and buffaloes. Okay, that's all there was. They didn't even have horses. We brought horses along later. I remember somebody said that in the chat and they laughed. I think it was Reverend something. He said, they had horses. I'm like, no, they didn't. We brought horses. And then they had horses later. And just because we see pictures of natives on horses doesn't mean they always had horses and shit. But they didn't build anything. The only reason people are coming to Canada right now is because of the things that we've created, the money, the wealth. So it really frustrates me every time I hear that. And it just, it shows a lack of history, a lack of knowledge, understanding, ignorance. Maybe you're stupid, hateful. Oh, thank you, Boingo Bear. Thank you for the $2. And also thank you again for the $10 donation. Thanks for the stream, bro. No problem, man. You must have had a bad climate change. There was no government, just tribes and a migrating herd. Right. They didn't have anything. I'm surrounded by leftists. Horse farts causing climate change. I remember an article a while ago saying that, Europeans caused the mini ice age because we killed off all of the Native Americans because they weren't producing as much carbon anymore. So, why is it, we should be producing more carbon. We're preventing ice ages. Like, this is a good thing. We should also force foreigners to Anglo their names. No, I don't like that. Honestly, I get like an Asian person who has like an Anglo name. I just don't want you in my country. not I don't have anything against Asian people or anything like that, obviously, but Duterte, he just said he's gonna pledge war against Canada, and in Winnipeg we got hundreds of thousands of Filipinos, and they're gonna turn against us. No, they probably won't, but yeah, like, I don't know. I prefer calling people by their actual fucking names, but we just need to stop immigration, so I have less people that I have to call Zing Zhao and Chang Pei and Nabusu or whatever. I want to have to use those names less. I want to use Jake, Brian, Dave, Joseph, from French names, Fredrick, or something like that, like Anglo names. Durka. Well, that's a good name. Jerry, right? Yeah, Jerry. That's a good Canadian name. William, Mike, Tron. Tron. That's a perfect one. Slavey, Jonathan, Lee. But your last name sounds Asian. You're out. Holy fuck. I know a certain Filipino. He told me as a kid they ate sold squid balls, which is just mashed up fish slop balls. AJ, have you talked to Wham, Winnipeg Alternative Media? No, I have not. I've never heard of them. Do they have are they a YouTuber or something? People don't know anything about the indigenous tribes. They were godless, spirit cooking, sexist people who were more like Islamic followers than any other group. Right, yeah. Wasn't there lots of cannibalism and, people being thrown in like mass graves and shit? And people think they were like noble savages and all that crap. And I'm not saying there wasn't anything good about Aboriginal culture and they were like savages, and they were savages. Like, not, there were peaceful Aboriginal groups too, right? It's not like all groups were like that. There were some very peaceful ones and shit, and some not so peaceful, some very warlike ones. But they govern by the rule of conquering and stuff too. So they when they conquer land, they took it over, and they didn't claim all of Canada, all North America's all of a sudden their shit. That's ridiculous. But some white English have last name Lee. That's true. I know the whole Lee thing in America. I know there's probably a bunch of Lees in the South of America or whatnot, but I just think of Jet Li, L-I, not L-E-E, but L-I, Jet Li. And then I'm always like, oh, is this person Asian? Oh, okay, no, they're not. Abos still fight amidst themselves in the far north. Yeah, man, there's crazy shit going on in the far north. There's like massive syphilis spread and all that. It's all happening just because they're not having protected sex, right? One dead for every mile of a track. Yeah, that was Lee Rigsby, R.I.P. UK. Oh yeah, that was that Lee Rigsby, right? Wasn't that thing that was going on? And there was like Stephen Lawrence that they're trying to make a big case about, how there's this black teenager that died in like 1993 or something, and they're like, oh, we gotta make a Stephen Lawrence Day, and we changed all this stuff. See, this is what happens. This is what the leftists do. They go and they glom on to something that happens, and they go and they change all of the laws. Like the New Zealand shooting thing, they go any attack, anything that they can use. The Trayvon Martin thing, the Boushie case, it's all the same fucking tactic they use. And they're like, okay, we're gonna use this to change the laws, to go in and convince the people that this and that. And the media is all a part of it because they show the propaganda to you, right? And that's why they don't show you all of the farm murders in South Africa and all of the people that are getting killed and butchered there, because people would have sympathy for them. And they don't want you to have sympathy for white people. They want to just show you gassed Syrian kids. And they'll say like, oh, have sympathy, go and do a regime change in Syria and get rid of Assad, because look what he's doing to these kids, where it's actually the fucking white helmets or the rebel groups that Obama and all these people were funding before. You know, it's they're all working together. You know, CNN was also pretending to be like under fire during, like, I can't remember, some like what was it? Some conflict in the Middle East under George Bush, the first one, right? And, you know, they've been caught lying multiple times. You know, fuck all these people. Population control. Yeah, well, people are trying to control our population, white people, but there's a massive boom in Africa. Their population is exploding. Well, there is people like, you know, trying to curb that as well to some extent, being like, hey, you know, we need to promote, you know, abortions and this shit in Africa and whatnot. But that's not going to solve the problem. The problem is giving them money. We got to stop giving them money, and they'll have less kids. It's not that fucking complicated. BBC staged the dumbass gas attack. Right. Yeah. BBC was caught. You know, these people are caught all the time lying, but then they're going to smear people like Julian Assange, who's everything that he's promoted has been proven to be true. He hasn't promoted one lie, but they're going to smear him, and you know, and they're going to uphold. They're going to give awards to people like, who is it? CBS they gave award to, or CNN, or some place for reporting on the Trump Russia scandal. Like, are you kidding me? That was proven to be false, and they're like, oh, well, you're still going to get a Pulitzer Prize award for being a very good propagandist and turning the American people against each other, thinking that that there's Russian bots and Russians invading everything, and they're accusing each other of being Russians on Twitter. Oh, you're just a Russian bot. You know, I remember on Twitter, I was accused of being a Russian bot so many times. I'm like, clearly not a fucking bot, you idiot. like how smart do these people think these bots are? Like, you know, how intelligent have these bots become? Gerald Butts and Trudeau smear semen on each other. Fun fact, Tulsi Gabbard visited al-Assad in 2017. Oh, well, yeah. She's, you know, she made a video the other day, right? And it was talking about Wahhabism. And it was like, you know, Wahhabism, and it was good in a sense that, like, people are like, good, finally somebody's directly calling out Islam. But, you know, what they're doing is they're calling out just Wahhabism, which is good. You know, Wahhabism is a problem, but Islam as a whole is a problem. You know, Islam as a whole is the problem. And just because you keep Wahhabists out and other sects of Islam that are, you know, bad, doesn't mean these groups that you're bringing in that are initially peaceful won't become violent eventually, because it's all about interpretation, right? There's a reason why after the Reformation in the Christian church, you know, when they split off and created a bunch of different sects, there's no sects of Christianity where they go and do jihad and they go and kill a bunch of people. You know, Lutheranism, Protestantism, Catholicism, all this stuff, none of them have interpretations that result in the same things that results in the interpretation that people have when they read Islam and in the Quran and the hadiths, right? So even if there's sects of Islam that interpret it in a way that is non-violent, the text still exists and they legitimize it by saying it's the word of God. So this always leaves the opportunity, the door open for that one Muslim dude to read it and be like, I know my church is saying that these passages aren't good, but it's in the book. Muhammad did say it, right? But there's nothing in religion, in Christianity, that Christians can point to legitimize them going and throwing gay people off roofs or doing this, right? There's nothing in there that instructs it whatsoever. But so that's the problem, it's not just Wahhabism, it's Islam as a whole. Even the peaceful interpretations will one day, if you let them in, you'll have them split off, and then some of those split offs will be radical interpretations. Because unless you go into the book and start removing things and removing people's memories of these quotes and shit and make it like very pacified, and maybe make like a New Testament version of the Quranic Bible or something, like kind of like the New Testament version, then you're never ever going to remedy the problem with Islam. With address Judaism too. Well, I'm specifically talking about Islam at this specific time, right? I can talk about Judaism, but I don't know as much about Judaism to go on and rant and say that, this and that, right? Honestly, Shia aren't too bad. Secularism, right? But, right, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, Shia, but what are they? Iran? They're still supporting a lot of Islamist groups and shit too. And what do they do? Iran, they still kill gay people in their countries and do all this other shit. And that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, there's a problem with Judaism and stuff. And I don't know enough about the Talmud or whatever to say this is what, the Talmud, but Talmud people are going to do. But there also is not examples of Israeli people going and suicide bombing fucking Christian churches, like what is going on right now. Like maybe a lot of them are subverting shit and stuff like that behind the scenes. I can agree with you on that, but they're not doing what Islamic terrorists are doing, what Islamic extremists are doing, which are strapping vests on themselves and blowing up innocent Easter worshipers, right? They're blowing up Easter worshipers, guys. But yeah, like, I agree. Wow, it is just a statement, but they're blowing up Easter worshipers, and these people, it's a direct correlation to their Islamic text, right? So that's the problem with Islam. But that Tulsi Gabbard, it's good that she made that video though. Check out the site Political Islam by Dr. Bill Warmer. There's many sects of Jews. That's true too, right? There's many sects of Judaism. You can't conflate Zionism and Judaism. Okay. Iran has never attacked anyone. The nicest man I've ever met in my life, it was Iranian Muslim. Well, no, I agree with you. I don't think we should go in and do a regime change like Israel wants to do in Iran. But what I'm saying is like their laws, right? Their laws themselves about like gay marriage or whatever, adultery, etc., are something that I wouldn't want in my country, right? That's all I'm saying. That's why I don't want even the Shia Muslims in here, because sure, maybe they're not blowing themselves up. That's not even a problem. That's not a problem. It's all the other fucked up shit that you like to do too, right? Just stay out of my fucking country. That's I prefer that. Yeah. I like lots of people. I like black people. I like Asian people. I like all different types of people. But when we become a minority in our own country, that's a problem. Actually, really cool. Says this as an open racist. Jesus turned the tables on the scribes and Pharisees. Today they are Talmudic Zionist and changed Lubavitch. The best Muslim is still weirdo shite shit. If you ask me, maybe thought the same a year ago, but gay marriage was a slippery slope to all the trans drag shit. Well, yeah, I agree with you. If you watch my gay loony thing, right? But that doesn't mean, even though it's a slippery slope type thing, doesn't mean we should criminalize it, right? And it's not us decriminalizing gay marriage that was the problem necessarily, right? It's us, buying into the whole social justice bullshit and caring about people's feelings above, the right of association, us giving away our rights willingly, us being convinced, right? It's not really their fault. It's not the fault. That's the thing too. That's what's happening. People, they're going so far back that they're like, oh, the progression that we've had recently in society, we got to go back. We got to go too far back. And you're like, okay, well, we don't want to go too far back, right? I've seen some people criticize the what was it called? The Enlightenment. I'm like, okay, no, we don't want to go back before that, guys. Come on. Best Muslim. Okay, well, be careful what you guys say on my chat, just because I can get fucking banned for shit that people say. So, maybe thought the same a year ago. He must have been a Persian secular, but there's tons of great Muslim, Iranian, Pakistani people. Don't get me wrong. I agree with you. Facts have no feelings. Fine, I removed it, AJ. Well, I'm just saying, like, be careful, because, I don't want to have to moderate shit or whatever, but Twitter, or I mean YouTube and this shit, they're just really fucking bad with this censorship lately. It's ridiculous. Yeah, pretty much, right? But I wanna forego that as long as possible. I want to forego that as long as possible. That's why I say go to my BitChute account, subscribe to BitChute, link in description below. Subscribe to let me go to my BitChute. Also IDW. If you guys are not on IDW, oh, shut the fuck up with your Trump campaign advisor. But here, go here and then join through this access code that I'm going to give you, and it gives me points. If you join here, it'll give me points, and then I get boosted up in the spectrum or whatever. Okay, so AJ Elicits. See, I got 208 followers on BitChute. So that's 208. It's better than nothing. I've had a couple of videos that have gone up to like 2,000 views on BitChute, right? It's like one of my older videos, like Blair White staged his social experiment. That got like 1,500 views on BitChute, so it's not too bad. Wizard points. Yeah, give me some wizard points. ShillTube. Oh, I'm shilling. I've been to a gay wedding. It was like a normal wedding, just gay. We have killed millions of Muslims for Israel, and I agree. Like, I'm just saying I don't want to live with them, right? I agree with you. We need to stop foreign wars. We need to stop bombing innocent Iraqis, Syrians. We got to stop destabilizing countries in Libya, like Libya, where now there's a slave trade going on. I agree with all that shit, man. There's a lot of things that Muslims do have legitimate reasons to be mad about, but they're directing it. A lot of them is being directed at the populace, right? And that's a problem, and it's all being committed by the government. Oftentimes, the people are lied into going into these wars and think it's a good thing, or lied into thinking it's a good thing, and then we create a bunch of enemies that we bring in over to our countries, and now they're mad because we blew up their kids, which I would be mad too, and then they go and they kill us in return. It's just going to be a bloody fucking death bath. Anti-war Dem or Republican. Yeah. Well, that's good, but she still is going to fucking replace you. So at that point, if you're not talking about white replacement and talking about reducing immigration and shit, then good on her for being anti-war and shit. But That's what she's saying. Trump said he was going to be anti-war, pretty anti-war, and you know he's somewhat kept some of his promises on that for some things. But you know, she says one thing here, but once people get into office, it's often a different story. Right. You know, just realize the window reflection of poster. You had me. Trump told the citizens he'd withdraw from the Middle East. All of a sudden, he's staying. Trump was against illegal immigration, but now he wants the highest number of legal immigration. Right. You know, exactly. Exactly. Right, guys? But I think I'm going to end it. I went a little bit longer than I thought. But thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for the donations. I really appreciate that. I don't think I missed anybody. Soaker City, thank you again for the $2. Honestly, Shia isn't too bad. Secularism. And also Boingo Bear as well. Thank you earlier for that once donation. And if Fredrick's still around, and yeah, Flood Power Belong. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but thank you again for your $10 donation, man. I really appreciate that. But everybody, I hope you have a one sec here, guys. A good night. See you later, Faye Knox. Hope you have a good night too. Take it easy, guys. Have a good one.